Hello and welcome back to That Old Shop. My name is Mike Scott. Today I'm going to be working on getting this mill wired up and get it operational. It hasn't been operational since I brought it home. I used to have another mill sitting here in its place that was operational, but this one I haven't got hooked up and got running yet. And it's going to be a temporary wire up job, though I'm going to be putting the cord on it that I'm going to be using at the new location once we move. So I want to get that on there, and then I'm going to kind of this VFD, you can see it back there on the wall. I'm going to relocate that under the window there and just temporary wire this mill into there, and that'll give me the option to wire this bandsaw into there if I need to use the bandsaw in between now and the time we move. So I need to get this wired up so I can make a couple of gibs for the Brown and Sharp bench center project that I have going on. It's like about a 5-part video playlist already, so I need to get that finished up before we move so I can let that go to a new owner in newer looking nice condition. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so I need to break into this electrical box. I do have a picture of how it was wired up when I purchased it. It's been so long though, I don't recall if that he had it wired up for 230 or 460. I need it wired up for 230. It is a 3-phase motor. That's the reason for the VFD. So I gotta verify this wiring here. I'll do that off camera and bring you back to it. And it also has a power drawbar that's air operated. I want to get that hooked up to make sure that's operational in case that needs anything. Not that I really need that for this little job, but, and also the power feed for the table. I used to move it back and forth just for moving stuff around the mill to get it stuff behind the mill, and that stopped working, so I have to see what is up with that. So I'll bring you along for that too. Stay tuned. Okay, so the motor plate indicates that the wiring is the same for 230 as it is for 460. I'm going to take this drum switch out of the equation because VFDs don't like switches in between the motor and the VFD. So I do have a phase converter, so for the new shop, so for the new shop, I won't be running this machine out of VFD. I'll be using that for other machines. But I'm going to have time to, get that wired up there. Sometimes you have trouble, like you guys may, also getting tradesmen into your shop to do something that you don't know enough about, or don't have time to mess with. I had an electrician that was supposed to bump up my power, probably 3 years ago at least, out here, and I bought a phase converter to get 3-phase power out here for these machines. He never showed, and we decided to move, so we've been working towards that. That's where our time and energy has been going towards, rather than messing with doing anything more upgrade-wise electrically in the workshop. So I'm going to get this drum switch off of here, get some wires stripped, and get this wired up, and we should be spinning parts pretty soon. Just cut off of there. Back in the way in the box. Less things hanging on the machine as it's going down the road at 60 miles an hour, probably the better. So we didn't tap that hole very straight. Well, this is a Chevalier mill. The mill itself is made in Taiwan. The motor up there says it's made in China. So I was told Taiwan machines are supposed to be better quality than Chinese-made machines, but it does have a Chinese motor on there. So we'll see how all that works out. You guys might not be able to see it in the camera, but this box is a little mangled. I just bent over. I bring that back. Easy peasy. Okay. I'm just going to put this type of connector on there. Romex type connector. I'm just going to be squeezing on this SJO cord, if you guys know what that is. Looks like that. So that's going to be squeezing on there. Of course, I have to get a more proper connector down the road. Like I said, this is a temporary thing. Okay, and then for some added strain relief, I picked one of these out of my electrical drawer. Got the cobwebs off it. And it should protect the connectors from pulling apart. Just need to decide on where I'm going to run it. What way I'm going to run it. Probably like that. This is the package label from the SJO cord. It says it's made in China, but the company is headquartered in Caruthersville, Indiana. And it was supposed to be 25 feet. They shorted me a foot. I cut it in half, two 12.5-foot pieces, and I was a foot short on one of the pieces. So Cero wire, you ripped me off a foot. That Cero wire, this SJO cord I bought at Menards. This is the home center in my area of the country where I'm at now, which is northern Illinois. Won't be having to deal with any Menards where I'm going to, because there aren't any. Okay, I'm going to put some eyelets on there and get this wired up. I think when I was stripping the outer, I cut into one of these wires. Yep, that black one right there. I'll have to do a little electrical tape wrap on that one. You guys don't have one of these ratcheting type crimpers. They're a cat's meow as far as getting a good tight crimp. I got mine at Harbor Freight, but because I use it very little. I was in the electrical trade. I'd probably buy some other brand, but it worked for what I need it for. Just kind of widening my crimp on these so it has more than one spot where it's clamping down on the wires on the copper. I like to put round eyes on there. What was on here was just the stake type connectors. And I found that those tend to come loose. Come off, short out. Gotta get it on there, however that it's gonna lay nice. Each wire. Gotta get some tape in. And I got some Super 88. Super 88 tape. I'm not really a electrical tape or a duct tape kind of person. Once the glue crystallizes or the tape softens up because of heat, you know, it no longer does its job. But it's a temporary thing. I am going to be getting back in here when we move to rewire that drum switch in here, because I'm going to have a phase converter. And so then I can have a switch in between the power source and the motor. And it won't negatively affect it. Won't be throwing codes, because there won't be any codes. Like on a VFD. They're sensitive. So hopefully I have a cord that's 6 inches or whatever longer. Okay, those all have to be tightened up. Gotta get my ground on there. Normally, and especially if I'm wiring on something when the power's still on, occasionally I always would do this in reverse and wire the ground up first, of course. Where is my screwdriver? Right there by the camera, that's where it is. This ground I'm just going to put on a mounting screw here that holds this whole wire terminal block inside this box here. The eyes are sometimes a little bit more hassle because you got to take the screw all the way out. It's a much more secure connection. Probably could have used the next size smaller IN, but I got a lot of these, so. All right. These tightened up. Let's see how that cover thing. Go that way. Look out, stuff falling. Okay, that's on there good. Get some strain relief on this end of the cord, and I'll move you guys over by the VFD. There. Put a washer on there because the head of the set screw would just destroy the clamp anyway. So, and this is actually a motor mount bolt. And believe it or not, it was not metric. No siree Bob, it wasn't. So there we go there. Let's head down to the VFD end of the cord. So I was a nice guy and turned the window air off for you guys so you can hear. Pretty blazing hot here. It's supposed to be hot for a week. I hate it when other guys talk about the weather on their channel, and here I am doing it. Okay, I left the VFD in the same location on the wall because it's near the bandsaw. It's going to be temporarily wired up as well, and was already mounted there, and I didn't want to put it under the more centrally located underneath the air conditioner, because when I pop that out of there, of course, I might bang the top of the VFD and damage that. So out of sight, out of the line of damage, I think, over there. And I got all my temporary strain relief, which is zip ties, holding that all up there. It runs along the wall underneath the air, goes up to where the strain relief clamp is up on the motor that I showed you earlier. So here we go. Contact. There we go. Even going the right direction. For what I'm going to be needing it for most anyway. I'm going to be doing some power tapping. I'm going to, of course, have it hooked up to the phase converter and get that drum switch back in there that has a forward and reverse for doing power tapping. But that's it. I can get some stuff put away here and move on to the next phase. Okay, so next on the electrical repair list for the mill was this power feed for the table. It all of a sudden stopped working, and I figured out the problem off camera here. This knob right here was just turned all the way down. That's the speed control for it. Slows the way down, speeds the way up. And that was turned all the way down. But it was just making a hum like that when I first started to check it out. So I thought there was some issue there, but nope. I think when I was getting up and down here, when my wife and I were putting these 2x4s underneath the skids here that I have made for this machine to get it ready to move out. So I didn't want to leave it on pipes because the pipes would have sunk into the wood and it would have made it harder to move the machine. So we got those 2x4s under there, and I must have just brushed against this or something when I was getting up and down. So that's working. This has got a cover down here underneath. There's a big plastic gear under here, and this covers that up. But let me bring you down there. Okay, so down here at the bottom of the power table feed, it's got these little indentations there and these grooves where if the piece that goes on from the bottom would have a little stud or a little boss in there, it would push up and then you'd turn it and then it would hold it on. Well, this cover, I don't know if you can see that, doesn't have anything on there, not a spot where it looked like one was there or two were there and were broken off. So I'm thinking this doesn't even go to this. Just happened to be some plastic cover that somebody found that just happened to fit that diameter there. Don't know what that is. Looks like 3.5 inches maybe. But so this is a Servo brand power feed. So if anybody knows anything about this particular cover that goes on there, if this was glued on there or stuck on there with some silicone caulk, if this is the right cover or not the right cover, there's some other cover that goes on there, let me know. I don't know anything about Servo company, Pasadena, California. It's got a tag here. I don't know if they're still in business. They can get parts for this particular model. I don't know anything about that. So shooting in the dark here. Right, let's move on to the power drawbar up top, air operated. Okay, so here we are at the power drawbar up top here. Tightens up the drawbar and that pulls the spindle collets up into the spindle or a chuck. So I got the correct amount of air pressure on there, 90 psi, and it won't tighten up anything, won't pull anything up into the spindle. So I'm thinking that it's just a long rod with some threads on the end of it. So I'm thinking just the threads on the end of the rod are probably stripped out. I did have this off at one time because I was considering selling it off because I've never had a power drawbar before in any of the factories that I worked at and tool rooms, running mills. We always just used a wrench. Had a wrench always stored on the machine, and we tightened up the drawbar with that. But I'm getting older. Maybe I'll, even though I'm tall and I can easily get up there with the wrench, maybe I should hang on to the power drawbar. So I'm gonna have to take this apart, pull the drawbar out, the drawbar itself out of there, and see what the condition of it is. Okay, here we go. Cover off. Three-quarter 20s. Quarter 28. There. Already got the power off to the mill. Those 3 screws. Drawbar. Sure there's not any washers around it. And spacers. I better pardon my elbow. What I'm doing is checking to make sure there's no washers or spacers underneath there that somebody might have put in to give it the right length. thread. No, doesn't appear to be any washing. The threads are good. And they do screw onto the collets, so let's try and do them by hand. And all the way up. Do it the old-fashioned way. Okay, that grabs the threads into the collet. Doing it by hand. So what's the deal with the power one? All this really is like a little impact up here. Let's put some air to it. Okay, it's always going one way, no matter which way I move this lever, it's loosening it. So when you give it juice, or give it, in this case, air, it drops down. This is just a socket on here, an impact socket that's held on by a ring. That snaps down, the socket goes on the drawbar, the end of the drawbar. It's supposed to tighten it up, but it's only going one way. Have to look into that. Run the table out of the way. I'm looking at the air lines in the back here. This one's not connected. It actually broke off here. There's a green line and a black line, so the black line must be for tightening. Yeah, something happened to that. I have to fix that. Just a couple of screws that hold it on the back here. I don't know what that part's for. Little bracket thing. Almost looks like it holds a rod here for like a light or something. Okay, so it was just a matter of popping off this red thing here, getting the broken piece of tubing out of there, recutting the black tubing again, shoving it down in there. There's this little fingered spring kind of washer that grabs onto the OD of the tubing. You gotta shove that in there, then follow it with the red little bushing, and that holds it in there evidently. I hate plastic stuff, even though I spent 20 years in injection molding. I don't really care for plastic items. Gotta get this funky dunky bracket back up there, I guess. Sure what that's for. ADB 158-5. It's on there twice. Some cheap plastic part again. Let's see if I can do it without that. Yeah, I think I can get some shorter screws and screw that right on the aluminum bracket and just forego this thing. I don't even know what that is even for. Like I said, it's got a section here that looks like a rod goes in there, and a screw would go in there. There's no threads in the smaller diameter hole. that was on there like that underneath everything. So we're leaving it up. If anybody knows what that's supposed to be used for, put something down in the comments there. Okay, so I got the airline reattached. Got rid of that bracket that was up there. There's some really long metric screws, so I had to get some shorter ones. Of course, I don't have very many metric. I just have a little plastic drawer full of them. There's not much call for metric stuff on machines that are, 1950s and earlier, which is a lot of what I have, except for this one here. And this one's an Asian machine, so it's going to have metric anyway, no matter how old it is, likely. Alright, so I'm going to get this put back up top. I already checked the direction. It does work both directions now. I'll get it put up top, and we'll drop some collets. There we go. Let's see if I can do this. Uno, dos, eso. And even this base here is plastic. This is an Astro brand power drawbar. There's A&T here. I don't know if that's for Astro and something or other. Let's see, it says A&T Company. It's got an American flag, A&T. I don't know if it's made in the USA. A&T Australia, it says. Got a 714 area code number for service. Let's see how this goes. Boy, do I have the tools out. Okay, so let's get that up there. There's a groove in here. There's supposed to be a little pin up here, but this machine is missing it. It's broke off, which often happens with older machines. Not necessary really. It just kind of aids in keeping the collet from spinning as you're tightening it up or loosening it. There we go. I don't know if I like the power drawbar. I like having the feel of the wrench, like tighten up spark plugs or any type of connection, thready connection. I don't know if I'll keep the power drawbar, but it is on there and working for now. It's got a ratcheting function, so I guess it doesn't strip out the threads as long as you got the air pressure at 90 pounds, the supply pressure, which is what I have. So I think that's it for this video. We got some things done on the mill. I have some more things to do yet. I gotta reattach the chip covers for the ways back here behind the table. Get some way of holding this cover onto the power feed. I'm probably just gonna tape it, to be honest with you. That's why I have this aluminum tape out. Got some pretty good stickiness, and I don't care for duct tape kind of tapes. Duct tape kind of tape, or duct. I guess it's both now. It used to be duct years ago only because it was for duct work. There's some Gorilla tape too, but it's a similar thing. It's just too sticky, too gooey sticky. This works, holds pretty well. For something as light as this, I'm sure that'll be fine. Okay, that's it for this video. Please like, share, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what you think, what your thoughts you have about what you see in the video. And we'll catch you on the next one, which will probably be making the gibs for the Brown and Sharp bench center, or doing some more work on prepping that for paint. Filling some holes, things like that. All right, see ya. Thanks for watching. It worky.